When you hear this phrase cult victim, maybe you are thinking of certain extreme cases such as emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. It need not necessarily be so. They can be very subtle. Let's say someone has criticized your organization. Instead of empathizing with that person, instead of trying to understand that person's point, and instead of trying to help that person understand your point, you see that person as an enemy. Or let's say there is something off about your organization. Like, every system has imperfections, right? There is always scope for improvement. So when something like that is there, instead of trying to do your best for whatever is needed, you tend to ignore that. So these are subtle aspects of being a cult victim, and these are more of consequences. Let's look at what the cause is. And for this, let me share something that happened a few years back. So this was around 2013. At that time, I was like this. My life is sorted. I know what is right and wrong. I know what is good and bad, and I want to be a very good son. I want to be a very good student, good citizen. Uh, so I was like this, and then this book entered my life. What Are You Doing with Your Life by Jiddu Krishnamurti. And oh my god, this book, this book and other books that I read of Jiddu Krishnamurti, they have uh, like the core thing that Jiddu Krishnamurti tells, like one of the very key aspect of what he says is not to accept any authority, not to accept any psychological authority. So what does authority mean? So what I consider to be the right, the way. It can be, it can be scriptures, it can be society, it can be parents, it can be certain ideologies, it can be certain political figures, it can be gurus, religions. So not to accept any kind of psychological authority. So that is what Jiddu Krishnamurti says. And it was for the person that I was, it was very difficult. And and I tried to avoid all this. So I kept all these books aside, and the books of Jiddu Krishnamurti that I borrowed from my library, I returned them, and the ebooks I had in my Kindle of Jiddu Krishnamurti, I deleted all of them. Yeah, I was escaping because when someone has invested a lot into their delusions, invested like in terms of time and emotions, and when you're so identified with these delusions, then it's very difficult. And that is what I did for a certain period. But fortunately, I again continued to read these books and watch the videos of Jiddu Krishnamurti, and they have helped immensely. And so we were discussing about this consequences and cause, right? So I think, in my understanding, this is the cause of being a cult victim. That when one has accepted an authority, that will lead to all these various things. So in this context, let me ask this question. So this is questions for congruence series, right? So my question for you is, so guru is considered to be very sacred and very important. So moving towards Guru, is that against or is that contradictory to whatever we discussed, like not accepting authority and all this thing? So how do you see this? So this is my question to you, and as usual, like in the questions for congruence series, I give certain resource below the video, right? If you want to explore further. So I'm providing a link of a Quora answer that I wrote some time back, and this is not just a Quora answer. This is my life. All the confusion and all the seeking and all the various things that happened to me, and the wonderful things that I came across, especially in this context, whatever we discussed in the video. So that is what I presented in the core answer. It is very close to my heart, and that is what I'm providing. So give it a read. All the very best. Namaskaram.